Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Stuck in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, AK. Today, I'm going to be doing this solo because Reflex is not available today, but we're going to make this work. Anyways, let's get to it. Man, we live in a society where, where people try to balance their finances, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people work, but they never see where their money go. A lot of people work, they try to save, but still they don't know how to save. They don't know, how to structure money. Financial consultants are very expensive. Or some people don't even know that, there are financial consultants out there, for them to, go talk to. People live from paycheck to paycheck. And we're here today to, find out how we could, survive on a little budget, make what we earn work for us. So with no further ado, today in the building, I'm sitting with Dr. Liliane Mofor, a pharmacist, financial consultant, financial educator, an independent contractor. Welcome to Stuck in the Middle podcast.
Thank you, AK. Thank you. It's a pleasure being here today, and I appreciate the opportunity to spread the awareness.
Oh, definitely. That's what we're here for. That's what Stuck in the Middle is all about.
Hoo-hoo.
Already, we just came from the iHeart Health and Wellness panel discussion.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it was great, by the way. Shout out to iHeart Health. Shout out to Ali Mofor. You know what I mean? It was a great event. A lot, we spoke about a lot. We tied in wellness and health with finances because they kind of hold hands.
Yes, it does go together. A lot of people don't realize it, but everything you have to do in life at some point is related to your finances.
Right.
Now, how you get to handle it is a whole different story.
Let's not even go too far first. Let's backtrack a little bit. For those who don't know, because I've already met you, we've had conversations. So for those who don't know who Mofor-abongwa is, who is Mofor-abongwa?
Okay, well, Mofor-abongwa is a mom of 2 boys. She's a wife. She's a pharmacist, been a pharmacist for about 11 years. Financial consultant for about 2 years now. Live up in Minnesota. Shout out to those in Minnesota. Hey. And what I pretty much do is, other than my day job as a pharmacist, I go around educating families on how to better manage their money so that they don't end up in a really bad situation as time goes on.
What got you to doing this? Like, what sparked? Because every journey begins with a step.
Definitely.
So what really got you to say, I think I could do this. I think I could go about, educating people about their finances. And also, are you that financially literate?
Okay, sure. So actually, this is what got me started, right? Mm-hmm. So personally, I take care of my finances good. So I thought I was the it. I knew I was doing it right. Then we had someone talk to us before. They were trying to talk to us about it. We're like, you know what? No, we are doing our thing. We know what we're doing. We are good. Then they said, but listen, just listen. You have nothing to lose, right? You're saving for your kids' college in a place where it's 3.5%. What if I show you a place where you could save at 8%? So I was like, any strings attached? It's like, you see for yourself. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh, how many people are out there with the same mindset that I have, thinking that I know it all, thinking that I do my 401k, I'm saving for my kids' college the right way, yet there are other options, better options out there. So that's what got me started on this journey. And when I started, I realized that, you know what? There are a lot of people out there who are even worse off than I am. So that's why I decided to go through this journey. And actually, in the United States, it doesn't even feature one of the top 10 countries in the world for financial literacy. That's how bad it is.
Really?
See, we live in one of the wealthiest countries in the world, yet we have a money problem, right? We work yet We cannot pay the bills. We have nothing left at the end of the day. We don't even take a vacation. You know, picking up shifts left and right. Our health is bad, yet there is nothing to show for it. We have debt. We just keep borrowing. We live in a society of debt. So debt is like the norm. It's like the way in life. You go to school. Guess what? You go to school at least for 12 years, right? Right up through high school. They only teach you how to become somebody, but they don't teach you how to manage that money that makes you the somebody. So only 5 states in the US actually do a financial education literacy class in high school. Oh, and by the way, Maryland is not one of them.
Sure.
So just FYI. But that's how bad it is. Like, you could go one day from being in a mansion and the next day you're on the streets. So that's pretty much where my story started, and that's where I'm going to educate, to bring that awareness to people.
Great. You mentioned the 5 states that teach finances in high school. Can you name them off the top of your head?
I believe so. Let's see. There is Alabama, there is Utah, Virginia, Tennessee, and I can't remember the last one. Not sure if it's Wyoming. I can't remember the last one, but they are 5 states. But definitely Maryland is not one of them, and Minnesota is not. So
I wish Maryland was one of them. I so wish Maryland was. But what is money and how does it work?
All right, so we throw this word financial literacy. What is it, right? So it is actually using the skills and knowledge to manage your financial resources effectively. And that's the big thing. A lot of us think that because we make money, that means we know how money works. No, that's not how it works. Just because you make money doesn't mean you understand how it actually works. And until you know how it works, you will always keep working for money.
So how does it work?
All right then, I like that question. So the basic thing is to build your financial house, right? How does that happen? So the first thing you want to do is make sure there is protection for your family. There are 4 major steps. It's just like building a house. When you want to build a house, you start with the foundation, right? You're not starting like in the kitchen or in the garage or stuff like that. You start from the foundation, and that's how you build the financial house. The foundation is protection. What is protection? Ability. Okay, something happens to you right now, then what? Who's going to take care of you? Who do you expect to leave their job to take care of you? Who do you expect to have to dig their hand deeper in their pocket to contribute for you? You've been working, right? Isn't it your responsibility to make sure that anything happens to you, you're good? That's how it's supposed to be. So that's your foundation, the protection layer. When you leave that protection layer, the very next thing is debt. We live in a society of debt. So you want to make sure that your debt is properly managed, because if you don't manage your debt, debt is going to manage you. You end up being a slave to money, working all your life just to pay debt. So you have to make sure that you get your protection, you manage your debt. After your debt, while you're working on that, you want to make sure that you build an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of your income stashed someplace where you don't have easy access. Why is that? Just in case they lay you off work, just in case a family member becomes sick and you have to take off to take care of that person, at least you have some money stashed somewhere that could help you during that period. Also, hey, your car breaks down in the winter time, right? Many people don't have like 2-3 grand just sitting there and waiting in their accounts. So what happens? If you don't have that stash for a rainy day, guess where you go? You probably go take a loan, you go like to payday loan or use your credit card. And at that point, you're desperate. So whatever interest rate is given to you, you will take it because you are desperate. Now, all that interest rate, you're giving money to someone else when you would have been saving it for yourself. And the other thing is, a lot of us Africans, when they call from back home asking about money, they say it's an emergency. Oh my gosh, we get so emotional, get so excited, saying that back home there is an emergency, an emergency. No, things like for back home, you have to budget. You have to put that in your monthly budget. Why I say that is because you have to keep in mind that we who are here, anything happens to you right here, right now, the person from home is not going to come take care of you.
Right.
But they can still find a way to survive. So you know what? While you're here, you have to make sure you find ways to take care of you and your family. After you do your emergency fund, then you invest. That's the last thing. But a lot of us start from the reverse. We start investing first before thinking about protection for our families. So that's how you build your financial house. See, if you build your financial house that way, when a financial storm comes through, the economy is messed up and all that good, it only shakes that house, but it doesn't break it down. So that's how you want to build your financial house. It has to be solid.
Gotcha. See, a lot of people, well, we come from a society where education is prominent. And when I say prominent, it's a requirement. Let me put it like that. Your parents expect you to go to school.
Oh, yeah.
And not just go to school, but they have a couple choices for you. You could either be a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, or the disgrace of a family, right?
Yes.
Most people, well, now you leave Africa, you come to America, you're exposed to a whole new world. You see, there are different avenues to make revenue. You could either be a DJ, you could be an artist, you could do construction, stuff like that. You know what I mean? You could go to vocational schools.
Right.
So in your opinion, right, do you think having a formal education is key to having a stable, having stable finances?
No. Because you know what? It doesn't matter how much you make, it's how much you can save at the end of the day.
Okay.
There are so many people, and that is the misconception. People think that you need to have money to be able to have better finances. No, you don't. You would see some people who went to vocational school and they are doing way, way better than professionals who are earning over 150K. Why is that? The thing is, they understand how money works. They do the budgeting, they plan, they try to pay off their debt. But just because you're educationally set doesn't necessarily mean that you're okay, you understand how it works. No. And the other thing is, we like to keep up with the Joneses. So we want to do when our friend does something, we just go for it. You're like, sure, I work with this person. We make the same income. So if he's getting that new car, I should be able to get it too. Well, guess what? Maybe if you don't talk to your friend to find out exactly what your friend is doing, your friend might be planning he might be doing some budgeting, and he knows how he's able to do that. And he's doing just fine. But you are struggling, but you're making the same income.
Right.
So it's a matter of you understanding it, understanding the resources you have and using it effectively, knowing what your priorities are, and then setting your goals.
How do you even start doing that?
Oh, sure. I mean, it's not an overnight process. And, the interesting thing is when people go to one event, they just feel that, oh my gosh, this is it. I have to know it all right now. No, it's just like you're trying to lose weight. It does take time, and you have to be consistent, and you have to be disciplined with the whole process. So to get started, what you need to tell yourself is, I need to find out how much comes in and how much goes out. That is where you start. So I normally have a monthly expense sheet, which is something you can find online, right? It will say, this is how much I bring in each month. This is how much I spend in my bills. So you pay your car insurance, you pay your cell phone bill, you pay this bill. What is left at the end of the day? You use that money now to try and achieve the goals you have set. But the big thing I tell people is, you are your responsibility. The government is not going to take care of you. It's not the government, it's not your employer, it's you. So you have to make sure that you figure out how money works. And there's so many resources out there. Google is a big one. So many resources out there. There are financial literacy programs that you can be enrolled in to understand how money works. So yes, there is a lot of help out there, and there is a need for what we actually do.
How do you even get people to start, focusing on their finances? Because we could talk all day long. You know what I mean? We could talk all day long. It's one of those things where they say you could take a horse to a river all you want, but you can never force it to drink water.
Yep, I definitely agree. I hear you. Been there, done that. When you talk about finances to people, everybody says, "Oh, finance is boring. Finance is boring." That's pretty much what you hear everyone say. It's not an interesting topic. However, when people start noticing that they cannot sleep at night because they are not able to pay their mortgage, they cannot sleep at night because their kid has to go to school and they don't have tuition for college, and now who is going to take that loan for college? Is it them taking on behalf of their kid, or are you sending your 18-year-old kid who has no idea about money to go start with a loan of 60,000? So there are just so many things. You're thinking of retirement. How much am I going to need in retirement? By the way, you will need 20 times your income to survive in retirement. See, if people at the end of the year, if they still have debt, do you think they are really saving money for retirement?
No.
Do you think they have 20 years down for that? Exactly. So it's like the light bulb doesn't come on for everybody, but there are some times when some people go through some stuff, then they realize that, oh boy, I need to pay attention to my finances.
Man, finances is one topic, in our community, in households that, people don't talk about much. It causes this rift.
Yes.
It's like the minute they say, "Oh, money," that switch just goes off,
Right.
and everybody just start going crazy. Why is that?
I'm not quite sure. The thing is, I don't know why it is so difficult for people to understand or to try to get education on how money works. Maybe people think they know it all, or I make money, I think I am okay, or I don't know if it's just not an interesting topic. But I don't see how it's not an interesting topic, because you know what? We all get paid. I don't care where you come from, what religion, we all get paid with the mighty dollar. So if you don't know how to manage that dollar, I don't know. It's just a matter of time before you realize when something bad happens. We get so excited about buying a house, but do you know all the things that come with a house? We get so excited about going to get a new car and getting credit. Do you know how credit cards work? Do you know the interest rate you're paying on the credit card? Nobody. The bank is never going to give you that as interest rate. But when you go to the bank to do a deposit, they are pushing a credit card towards you. Those are some of the things we have to understand and be like, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. What? And this finance thing just gets me all fired up. Okay, see, this is the deal though. There are just so many things we can do. Ladies, right? A lot of us, and I'm guilty of that, a lot of us have a lot of clothes just hanging in our closets. We don't go shopping because we need it. Most times we go buy stuff because it's on sale, right? Sometimes it doesn't even fit us. We now say, okay, we will get a registration at the gym. After we lose that weight, then we'll fit into that outfit, right? Before you know it, it's a year gone by. You're paying your registration at the gym. By the way, that's money that you're paying and you're not even using, okay? You're paying registration at the gym. You haven't lost the weight. The clothes are still hanging there, and you're out there buying more clothes. So what do you do with all that stuff? Well, it's about time we have to start learning how to make things work for us. Now, we ladies, what I've started doing, I used to tell people, but I never really done it. Take all the clothes you're not wearing, right? Especially those with tags. Go sell at a consignment store. Even if it's $20, that is $20 you could put away for something. You could put gas in your car. Guys, I know guys have a lot of toys here and there. Today is a PlayStation. Next time is an Xbox. The other one is a Wii U. You name it. And there are different rides. You get your rides, you load it up however you want it. That is awesome. You work hard, you got to play hard. I get it. But you know what? You got to be smart when you're playing hard, because you definitely don't want to be working your whole life for that, you know. There are some people who can waste the money, they got it. But you know, again, you cannot be keeping up with the Joneses. Everybody's situation is different. You cut your coat according to your size.
Amen to that.
Right.
Amen to that. So how do you invest for your kids' future?
All right, I can tell you what I personally do. So for my kids' education, because what I realize is the best way to send your kids off, you brought these kids here, right?
Right.
You got to be responsible for like them.
Right.
Where we come from Cameroon, our parents did all of the education, right up to university. Your parents do everything. But when we come to this society, our parents, I mean, tuition is so expensive, our parents can't keep up with that. So what I think parents should do, because parents will be the first resource for kids for college. If a kid has to go to college, the first person they'll go to is to their parent. So you as the parent, you have to make sure you go out there and find the resources that could help this kid get grants, get scholarships, if they are doing any sport, to see how they can actually get some scholarships from all this sport. If we are waiting for somebody to come pinch us and tell us this is what you're supposed to do, we are right here. But again, you see, when you put free events out for people to come listen, people don't show up.
Right.
So if parents don't take that mindset of, I have to go out there and get the resources, then you're already starting at a loss. But for myself, I've started saving for my kids' college, knowing that, oh, this is a good one. Tuition back in 2015 for a 4-year public college, coast to coast, is about 40 grand for 4-year college public, right? Private is about 136,000. Now, this is as of 2 years ago. I have 2 kids, 8 and 9. You think by the time they get to college, tuition would have gone up or gone down?
Up.
Thank you. Definitely up. So if you're going to save for college for these kids, some of the questions you have to ask yourself is, are they going to go to public or private school? How much am I willing to put down, regardless of if they have a scholarship or a loan? So that even if you're putting, say, half down, at least you know that you could start working with them to get scholarships through academia or through sports or grants and stuff like that. But we parents, we have to do our part.
Yeah, that's a great point you just pointed, because most parents don't. Well, they know that there is that route to take, scholarships and all whatnot. But one factor that I seem to find, which is hard for most parents, and you say most because it's most parents, is time. You're trying to juggle between your job, making sure that your kids are good, and then you have to put in that extra work behind the scenes of education. So how much does education really play in finance?
Education plays a big role. Education plays a big role, right? And the other thing is, you listening in on this information, you have to take action. Just like you said before, you can take a horse to the stream, but you can't force it to drink water.
Right.
If I give you all the resources you need right in front of you, give you all the websites and all that stuff, if you don't put it as a priority, it doesn't matter. So I could come here and educate you all I want, but if you don't act on that information, then it makes no difference. It's the same as somebody who hasn't even heard the information. So us parents, we have to do our part, and our part is stepping out there, checking out what resources exist. Sometimes there are other kids in your children's class that play a sport, and your kid loves that sport. That's the time where you build a relationship with them and find out, how can I hook up with this parent? Oh, not hook up, but how can I talk to this parent to get more information about this sport that their kid is playing?
Right.
Just little things that way, it does help. Reaching out to other families. Oh, your kid is in college. How did you get money? Where did you get the money from? Where did you start? And there are also programs out there available where you have like a company. One that we work with is Hyphy, the Institute of Financial Education, and what they do is they provide coaches to talk with the kids before they even go to college. So while they are in high school, the first year of high school, they start talking with the kids, because then they need to find out what is the kid interested in. Now, if you want to do medicine, okay, do you know you have to get a bachelor's degree first, and then you do another X amount of years, and then if you want to specialize this X amount of years, you tell this to some kids, they're like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of years. I don't have time for this. Give me something short, right? Especially with high school kids, sometimes they're in their clique. They all want to do the same thing. But when you lay the groundwork, they're like, you know what? No. I don't think I'm interested in chemistry. I don't think I'm interested in math or this. So then they get other options. But without that exposure, guess what happens? A kid goes to college, and they end up doing about 6 years in college. Why? Because the first 2 years, they had no idea what they wanted to do. They take courses here, take courses here. I want to do music. No, I want to do medicine. No, I want to do law. No, I want to do this. And then they go, the 2 years they are spending, that's 2 more years of school law. Interest is building up. Now, their colleague who probably went through this program graduated 4 years ago and has been working for 2 years. So they've made income for 2 years, while yours is actually getting loans for 2 more years. So these are some of the things that we have to think about. These are some of the things that are happening. But there are programs out there where people could actually get help from to learn about all these type things.
Coming out of college, you know, you just graduated college, right? You just landed your first gig, your first job. You're excited. You're like, yeah, I finally made it. You run home, mama, I did it. You know, you get hit with your first paycheck. Let's just say you made $3,000 in 2 weeks. You've never seen that kind of money in one paycheck, right? You just go out and you say, oh man, I'm about to get me a new car. I'm gonna get me some clothes. I'm gonna get me this, that. Like, what say you to, you know, young men and women who just graduated school and, you know, to find themselves in this type of situation?
Oh yeah, I like that one, and we see that one all the time. And by the way, that's not only for college graduates too, it's for professionals. Once they get out of their program, they're like, oh my gosh, I graduated, I'm making money now, I should be doing something good. So this is what I'll tell you first, and that's why this awareness is really something that should be taken on a serious note. Because if we don't start with the young generation, if we don't start with them now, they would simply repeat the same mistakes we parents have done. So at this point, I would like to say, if that happens to anybody, you get that $3,000, you're so excited, you want to go blow it all off, I'll be like, wait a minute, take a step back. I know you're excited, you haven't seen this before, it's your first check, but you have to start understanding that this is the time where you start saving. Because the earlier you start, the better. Because it does take money time to grow. So if you start early, it gives it a lot of time for that money to like grow. And I'm not saying don't spend it. Of course, it's going to be fun. That's a lot of money. Like you said, you haven't seen this kind of big check before. But you have to probably put 10% to the side for your retirement, 10% to the side for your savings. Hey, what are you doing with debt? You know, the thing is, try to live below your means so that you can deal with that debt, because coming out of college, most kids have debt. Right. So, and oh, by the way, this kid that you painted nicely is really rare, because when most kids come out nowadays, a lot of them go back to live with their parents because things are rough, right? You come out, you don't get that dream job, and you have loans to pay. It's reality now. You have to pay the rent on your own. You have to pay your car note. You have to pay car insurance. You have to pay your phone bill, your cable bill. You have all these toys in your house that you acquired while you were in college in your dorm room, right? Now you're like, oh boy, I have to cook too, you know, and do my laundry. Wow, it's a rough world, right? So that's the typical the typical student that comes out. So the example you gave me, that was a great one, but either way, it's not reality. But either way, I would say that's when you need to start saving for retirement. You need to start having your savings. You need to start dealing with your debt. The sooner you get that debt out,
The better.
the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As an immigrant, right? We're coming for greener pastures. A lot of us, like you hear and then you back home, your friends like, oh man, this boy, they enjoy all this. They don't really know the struggles that go on here.
Right.
You know what I mean? But needless to say, the most you make, you could invest back home. So how important it is to invest back home, and how can we actually go about that?
All right. The back home investment, I would say it is a personal decision, right? Because everybody has their priorities different. We have some people who say, you know what, I want to invest back home because I would eventually move back home. And so if I'm moving back home, I want something to be on the ground. We have some people who are here saying, I will stay here, but I want to build my country, So either way, however you see it, it depends on the person. But there are several things we have to take into account. To be honest, like me, I came here after high school. So I don't really know a lot of things back home.
Right.
So it will be hard if I on my own just go back home to invest, right? I've lived most of my adult life here. I have my kids here. Chances are I'm going to be living here for a long time. So chances are I better start investing here.
Right.
Because guess what? Even if I retire back home, right? If I'm sick, guess where I'm going to be getting on the plane to come back to?
Here.
For treatment, right?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Where is the money going to come from if I don't invest here? And we cannot sit and say, my retirement, my social security, that is all fun and dandy. But I don't know if people have been watching the news lately. By the time we retire, there may not be a social security fund.
Yep.
So the sooner you start thinking about that, the better, knowing that, hey, maybe there is a chance that I may not have money from the government, even though I've worked for X amount of years. But at the end of the day, I'm like, if you live here, I would think it would be wise at least to do some investment here, especially if you have a family here, But again, as I said, investing wherever is a personal choice, and it depends on what your priorities are.
Right. Some people feel like putting money in savings accounts at the bank, it doesn't yield enough. It doesn't yield enough profit. And the interest rates to that is very, very low. It's super low.
Right.
So most of us who are immigrants return to deal with fellow people, the people who know day to day, and they do this thing they call jangi, which is a group of people coming together. For those who are listening and they don't know what jangi is, a group of people come together and decide that we're gonna for 2 weeks we're gonna put, each person is gonna give in $400. Let's just say $400 for example, and at the end of the month they're gonna give all that proceeds to one person, and the cycle goes till everybody has gotten their own share of that, right? How effective is that in our society right now?
Okay, that is a good one, because things are changing. This jangi worked well for us back home. The society we are in is different. Let me give you a good case. So we all do the 400. When I get it, say we are 10 of us, and with the 400 each, I get $4,000, right? Keep in mind, I'm getting strictly $4,000. No interest on it. I know some people probably do interest where they have profit sharing at the end of the year.
Right.
That one is a good one because at least you see some interest. But in the case where it's strictly the same amount of money everybody is contributing, there is nothing in interest that comes to you. Personally, I really don't care for it. But the thing that I would say is it depends on what your goals are, because some people have projects they are working on and they need X amount of money at a certain time. And so doing the jangi kind of works, right? For like them. However, as I said, the thing with Njangi is if it doesn't have a profit sharing, so if there's no interest in it, you might as well be putting the money under your pillow.
Right.
Nothing happens to it. And by the way, the banks, if you're thinking about saving money, you have to find out, okay, what are my goals for this money? Is it going to be long term? Is it going to be short term? If it's a short term goal, then you definitely don't want to put it in a place that needs time for that money to grow. Because then if you put it in the market, you will have to get it out. And when you're getting it out, it may not be ripe. So you may actually be at a loss if you're trying to get the money out of the market. So, you just have to make sure that you understand some of these factors. Savings accounts in the US, I think at best, the best does offer about 0.5% interest. I mean, it's not even up to a full percent.
Right.
You know how long that money is going to take to double?
Very, very long.
Very long time. I'm sure your grandkids or great grandkids will see $100 double to $200 on the interest rate the banks are giving now.
Right.
So it just depends on what you want that money to achieve for you. If it's going to be a short-term goal, then yeah, it doesn't really make sense to put it, say, in a mutual fund or in a stock. But if it's something for long-term and you're a gambler, because there are different places where you can put money based on what you want that money to do for like you. Even if you put the money in the market, you have to know what your risk tolerance is. You have to know what your risk tolerance is. Am I the risky type? Am I the conservative type? Am I aggressive? Am I in the middle? So there are so many things you have to take into account. And these things it's not a one-day thing. It does take time for you to learn this information and to apply it.
You mentioned building. Let's take it back again, right?
Okay.
You mentioned building a financial house. How does that work?
Okay.
And what is a financial house, by the way?
All right. Like I said, right? So the financial house pretty much has 4 steps. Just like you're building a regular house, you have to make sure that you start with the foundation.
Right.
You cannot say, well, I want to build a house and I really like the living room, so I'm going to start with the living room. No, it doesn't work that way, right? So when you're building a house, the foundation is the main thing. So that's where everybody wants to start because, hey, you could be doing great. You could have a lot of money. But if you don't protect your family or you don't protect yourself, you have an accident and you cannot work, then what? Who's going to support you? So insurance is the basic thing. That's the foundation of your financial house, is your insurance. Okay. If you die, your family is going to be taken care of. Those goals and dreams you had for them, life is still going to go on. They will miss you emotionally, but financially, they'll be taken care of. Okay. If you don't die, then what? Well, guess what? There are plans nowadays, right, that you can access that money at some point in time to help you either with retirement, with long-term care, with planning for your kids' college. So either way, whether you die or you don't die, you see that protection is there to like help you and your family. But that's where we have to understand. One big thing I'll point out to though is that a lot of us, because I've talked with a lot of Cameroonians and with a lot of Africans, this is what happens. We don't provide insurance for ourselves, right? Check this out. So your cell phone, you insure it. Your car, you insure it. Your gadgets, you insure it. When it comes to your life, oh, you say, I don't have money, I don't have this. Your life is the most important thing. Are you kidding me? You're able to put insurance on all these things except your life. So does that make sense? But it's okay. We understand that it's going to take some time. The light bulb doesn't go on for everyone. It's just talking to people and trying to let them know if anything happens to you, what happens to your 4 kids? You have 4 kids now. You don't have any college savings for them. You don't have savings. You have debt. And you're talking of investment? No. Try to protect that lifestyle you have for them.
Right.
Because guess what? If anything happens to you today, if you're disabled, unfortunately, you now become a liability to your family. And when you become a liability, what should your spouse do? Should they quit work to take care of you? Or should they go to work and work like double, triple now to take care not just of all the bills in the house, but a nurse to come help take care of you too? So we have to start thinking. We sit and say we don't have money, we don't know how to make things work. Let me give you a good example. So I'm very comfortable in saying that everybody makes at least $10 an hour, right? Most people, like maybe 90% of the people, make $10, at least $10 an hour. Now you tell yourself, saving for my family is my responsibility. right? Every day you go to work, the first hour you'd say, this is paying me. I cannot take my money all the time and I'm paying everyone else except me. So the first hour you go to work every day, that $10, save it for yourself. At the end of the month, you realize you've easily saved $300. But if I tell you straight up, save $300, you tell me I don't have that kind of money. But right there, if you can cut out the sodas, if you can cut out, most of us go to work like 5 days in a week, right? But we have TV channels. We have about 200 TV channels. We don't watch 200 TV channels. Do we need all those channels? No, we don't. So why do we have 200 channels paying about $200 a month and we don't even get to watch it? We probably have like 4 or 5. Nice try though. Nice try.
They found a way to get us because, I want that HBO. But I can't go and say, oh man, take off all these other crappy channels I don't need and give me just HBO. I have to have HBO, including all these other crappy channels. That's why I have 200 channels.
Let me cut you short though. Check your resources out there. There are other things going on out here where you can stream online and you can pick exactly the channels you actually want.
Oh, I was talking to that person who is not computer savvy because I don't need to subscribe for HBO. I just pirate everything. Don't come for me, FBI, please. But I pirate everything.
So pretty much, you don't have cable then, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I don't need cable. All I need is the internet.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. So if you can find more, because there are a lot of things out there we don't know. Right. So you're paying this $200 every month, and you're only watching probably like 5 channels. Doesn't work out. Right. There are other options out there. I
buy that Apple TV, and then I go and look for somebody who pays for cable. I don't tell them that, oh, you are the Mumu paying for cable. Please just give me your login and password. It's okay. And I would just use my Apple TV with their login and password to watch my TV. That's what I do.
Hey, that's being smart. That's being smart. You do what you gotta do.
But how do we move on as a community, right? Like, how do we start taking care of our finances? How do we start pinpointing those issues with our finances and making sure that we're walking towards rectifying what those issues are?
Okay. The first thing will be to acknowledge that there is a problem. See, a lot of us don't acknowledge that we have a problem with our finances until we are in debt to our eyeballs. And then, at that point, we may say we have issues. But first, you have to acknowledge there is a problem. And when you acknowledge there is a problem, then you put a goal down. You try to have some actions taken. Put a plan in place. And be sure to follow through with this plan. And when I say put a plan in place, we just talked earlier about the SMART goals. When you make SMART goals, what are SMART goals? So SMART. S is for specific, M is measurable, A is attainable, R is relevant or realistic, and then T is trackable.
Hold up. Repeat that again.
Okay. So SMART, S-M-A-R-T, okay. SMART goals. When you're making goals, you have to make sure that your goals are specific, right? They are measurable, they are attainable, they are relevant, and they are trackable.
Okay.
Because you have to make sure that you're not just saying a goal which you cannot really achieve, right? You're setting yourself up for like failure if you do that. So, but then again, you don't want to set a goal that you can so easily go past it, right? So you have to make sure that you set something that is attainable. So that's what we need to like do. When you figure out that, oh, there is a problem here, you get a plan in place, you make sure that those goals are specific. Then you get started. Right. There is a lot of help out there because this country, they've realized that there is a problem with literacy. A lot of people are not literate when it comes to their finances. So there is a lot of help out there on Google.
I was just going to ask where can people get, literacy information?
Google is the magic place. So many places you can get on Google. There are some government centers that have information about it. There are some banks that will offer some information about it. My company actually does financial literacy. So we educate people. We have classes we offer. We have offices all over the US. So it's just something for people to show the interest and do their part, because you cannot expect everyone else to always be looking out for your interests, yet you don't do anything about it.
Right.
And the other thing too is, as I said before, all these things, when we as parents are doing this, our kids are watching. They are watching our spending patterns. They are watching our behaviors, and my parents are always taking loans. They are paying for something. They are paying for mortgage. They are paying for the car. They are paying for this. They are paying for that. Some people even have their wedding rings on credit, so we are in that kind of a society of debt where everything is just debt. You borrow, you borrow, you borrow, you borrow. But we have to change that mentality so that our kids, we change it for ourselves, because when we start doing it, our kids see that, and that's what they're gonna start doing, knowing that, we have to start thinking about the future. Now, there are some people who say, what? I work so hard, I think I deserve it. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? You so deserve it. You so deserve it. I love to travel, but guess what? I budget it. I know that, okay, I travel each month, at least I go once a month someplace. If that's your thing, go for it. Just budget it. There are some people who love to shop. Great. Just know that, okay, if I budget say $300 every month to shop, once I get to the $300, stop. Period. I have to be disciplined enough to tell myself no, because at this point it's not a need anymore, it's a want. So I'm not saying don't spoil yourself. Oh no, spoil yourself. Be sure to also include in your budget that every now and then you probably take your family, your friends out to dinner, you guys go watch a movie, or go do something fun. I'm not saying restrict yourself, but think about saving for a rainy day. That's just all I'm saying.
Let's switch gears a little bit, right?
Okay.
Just this what month we're in? We're in December.
December.
Yeah, we're in December. This month started with the cryptocurrency. It's always been there, but this very month has been all about bitcoins. You've heard about it, right?
Yes.
What's your thought on bitcoins?
Well, it's kind of hard I don't really have any thoughts about it. Again, it's personal choice. If some people, and it depends on how risky you want to be. If you want to go that route and be risky, because right now the bitcoins is doing really good. A few years ago it was really cheap. Now I think it's about $7-8 grand for I don't know. Yeah. So it's okay, if you're much of a gambler, if you're somebody who wants to take that risk, hey, the higher the risk, the higher the earnings, right?
Yeah.
But then again, if you're messed up, you could go down all the way.
Yeah.
So it just depends on your risk tolerance. It's a good thing for some people. It's a bad thing for some people. Is it good for you? I don't know. You have to weigh your situation and find out if that's a priority for you.
Now, I'm just going to wait and open mental health when when it crashes, because everybody's going to come to me. Well, for this is such a great conversation. I feel like I needed this conversation, and I'm sure there's somebody out there who needed this conversation. I'm still gonna need this conversation after this podcast, because the minute I walk out of here, I'm gonna go, do something else. I'm gonna forget, but that's the reason why I recorded it, so I can always go back and listen to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, real quick, real quick, credit cards. Most people don't really know how credit cards work. You know what I mean? They say, minimum payment. Let's just say you spend $100, and then they say your minimum payment is $45. What does paying that $45? What damage are you doing to yourself and your credit?
Okay, yeah, sure. The interesting thing is those companies will put on another sheet how long it's going to take you to pay that $100. Now, with the $45, you have to keep in mind that $45, which is the minimum payment, it does have some interest rate too on there. Now, there are some cards that will say don't pay anything for the next 12 months. You don't get no interest, except if you... My thing with credit cards is whatever you spend on it, you pay it off. Credit cards, they could make you and they can break you. Those are the two big things. We have to read the fine print. We have to understand. I'm yet to see a credit card that has an interest rate of less than 18%. Most credit cards is more than 18%. So the minute you don't pay off that money, the interest that accrues, it's so annoying. So the thing that I normally would say is, you, and I know, and I understand that nobody teaches us these things in school. You get out of high school, by the time you're 18, credit card applications are in the mail for you like crazy. And you know, being young and like, oh my gosh, this is free money. No, it's not free money. FYI, it's not free money. So you're coming out into the world, you have a credit card. Nobody has told you how credit cards work. Heck, your parents have their own credit cards they're struggling with. So of course, it's not like they know any better, but we have to start now. You know, the buck stops here. We have to start now. But it will be a good thing whenever you get a credit card, or you're interested in getting a credit card, it will be good to read the fine print. What is the interest, the APR? Okay, how long would I need to make this payment? And by the way, when you're making that minimum payment, how many years am I going to use to pay that card? Is it worth it to pay like almost 2 times the amount you actually took because you're only doing the minimum payment? Mm-hmm. No. But then again, on the other hand, if you understand how credit cards work, you can play it to your advantage, right? So there are a lot of credit cards out there that have perks, right? You either get travel free, you get to sit in their lounge, you know, you get complimentary or concert tickets. You know, you want to go to basketball games, you have it there. You can go backstage pass. I mean, you have some perks with some of the credit cards. So you have to understand that, hey, this is what this credit card offers. Right up front, we'll see a credit card and be like, oh no, this is $450. No, not interested. This is $200 a year. I'm not interested. But guess what? You have a complimentary round trip ticket for you and somebody in the US. You know, and when you think about that, $200 will buy you a ticket, and for someone else, $200 will have you sit in the lounge at the airport and just, I mean, enjoy some of the benefits of these cards. But you have to understand it. And the thing is, if you don't know who to like talk with, talk to a financial advisor or talk to, you know, but it's all about the education. And as I said before, there are places you go on Google and try to find out places where you can get help. Mm-hmm. They would help you with all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, this is such a great conversation again. And as you said, talk to, you know, somebody about it. Go to seminars, right? Mm-hmm. Attend seminars, attend, you know, public, you know, people who speak on finances.
Right.
And one thing about my people is this thing about lateness. Let me address that real quick. You know, you have an event, for example, a health awareness event. Mm-hmm. It starts at 1 p.m. Mm-hmm. to 4 p.m. Mm-hmm. and people show up at 3 p.m. What time does that organization have to give all the information they needed for you to, you know, take home and adapt, you know, and apply to your life? You know what I mean? And then you wake up tomorrow and you complain, oh, there's no info. I don't know how to be healthy. There's no information online for me to be healthy. But you didn't take that step to attend an event early, you know, to get information. You didn't take that step to attend early to get information on your finances. But then you keep complaining. So, like you said, you know, charity begins at home, right?
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be willing to put in the work. You have to really say, okay, you know what? There's a problem. Right. And this is how I'm going to fix it. I'm going to start by I'm going to start by accepting the fact that I have that problem, and I'm going to take the step to do it. Did I hit the nail right?
Yep, right there, boom. And you know, the thing is, it's sad because we in our community, especially, we need this information so bad because our mindset is different. Where we are coming from, our mindset is different. It doesn't work that way. And when we get here, we try to apply the mindset we had back home to here, and it just doesn't fit. Right. But we don't go out there to get the information. Somebody is saying, here, I have free information to like give you. All you just need to do is show up. And what do? The place is too far. Do I have to pay for parking too? But guess what? If I told you, hey, it's an extra shift, you will be like, what time do you want me to be there? You know? So we have to change our mindset. It starts with the mindset. We have to start thinking differently. We came to this country for greener pastures, right? We came to have a good lifestyle. But if we don't even want to understand how that works, how are we going to get to that end point? Right. You know, you cannot get there overnight. You have to work towards it. So if we don't, I'm sorry, I'll just have to say something else. Another thing in the Cameroonian community is, and I will say the Cameroonian especially because that's the community that I'm from, okay, and other African communities. The thing is, when we start a business, we don't want to invest. Investing in the sense that when you have events like the health and wellness events, vendors come in there to to promote themselves and whatever cause they stand for, and that is great. However, when you're in business, you cannot always be talking about money. How much are you going to pay me? How much are you going to pay me? When you go to these free events and you're a vendor, you can see one or two people that like what you have. And when they get to deal with you and they like what they see, they spread the word. That's another way of exposure. But you have to invest. You have to spend money to get money. You don't just come from nowhere, start a business, and boom, you're flourishing.
Right.
Like, I don't know you. I don't know what you do. So if I call you the first time, you cannot just say, my bill is this. I'm doing a charity event. You can come show your stuff to other people.
Right.
I don't have to pay you to be there. And that's what I really see is the problem with our community, is that we don't want to invest. We want to see it right here and right now.
And support.
You don't know that maybe me showing up to this event and helping this person who is hosting this event, helping, maybe providing plates or napkins or fruit. It may not pay right now as I'm standing here, but somebody is going to get my business card.
Right.
She may know somebody who has an event coming up, and she'll say, you know what? I know this person who does fruits. I know this person who does this. So I'll give you her number, and she will come there and be a vendor. That's how we spread the word.
Right.
We don't know how to network, and we just think that once I meet this person should be the one spreading my word. No, you have to put your own name out there. And then if I like what I see, I'll be like, oh, this person does good here. So if you want to do this, this is the way to go. So just a shout out to all my sisters and brothers who are entrepreneurs out there who are trying to build something. We got to network. We got to know each other. We have to be able to recommend each other, but we have to invest in that. It's not for free. You cannot sit in your home and expect other people to spread your word. No, you spread the word. People see what you got, and then they go for it.
Don't worry, I share in the annoyance too. For that kid who was sitting out there, or adult who's sitting out there who say, yo, you know what, I want to work on my finances, or I want to become a financial consultant. What advice do you have for them?
Oh my gosh, more grease to your elbows, more power to you. Because you know what? When you educate yourself, you give yourself more power, right? They say knowledge is power, right? But this is what I actually have to add in there. Knowledge with action is power. If you have the knowledge and you don't put any action to it, it doesn't do any good, right? It's just like we have a lot of people who say, whenever you do something, no, I'll just pray. Even though my finances are bad, I'll just pray. And I tell you, it says in the Bible, James 2, and I think it's 22 or 24, it says, faith without works is nothing. You cannot just sit there and say, God is going to do it for me. You have to do something. You have to show that you're working towards something. It's just like telling somebody who doesn't have any clothes, you send them off and say, go pray and God is going to clothe you. No, you be the person to give them the clothes. You be the person to feed them, and God is going to help them. You replenish them and replenish you too. But you don't just sit and say, no, pray. I talked to a lady once. Let me tell you this story. I talked to a lady once. After I told her some of these things, I said, you know what? If you knew you were going to be homeless next year at this time, what were you going to do today to change? She started crying, and she talked about this problem and talked about that problem. And then I asked, so what's going to happen next? You've told me these things. I hear you. I feel your pain. How do we move forward? Oh, she'll just leave it up to God, but God will see her through. Huh? I'm like, okay, I'm a Christian too, but come on now, let's not push this. You have to be able to do something. You have to get goals, set your goals up, follow up with those goals. Make sure it's something that it's actually achievable. But don't just sit there and say, God is going to see me through. We know that God will see you through. But what's your part, you know? Mm-hmm. So.
What is success to you?
Oh, success. That's a difficult one. Success, I can comfortably say, is when I get to help somebody. Mm-hmm. When you help somebody and you see their face, you see the excitement, you see that satisfaction that they have, you're like, oh yeah, I got it. I'm good. Yeah.
You know, I spoke to a lot of people and I asked them this question and the most answer I got was helping somebody else. It's not about how much you make. It's not about the kind of car you drive. It's about how can you help somebody else. Mm-hmm. Dr. Liliane Mofor-abongwa.
Yes.
We've been talking about finances, well-being, health.
Yes.
If you were paying attention, you know, is there anything else you want to add?
Oh, sure. You know what? I could just throw in one little thing, right? I love this quote from Albert Einstein. It's the definition of insanity. And it says, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results each time. Mm-hmm. So if you're not putting down something in writing and following through with it, it's just wishful thinking.
Right.
It ends right there. Mm-hmm. We are at the end of 2017. This is the time where you usually, reflect and reassess what has happened throughout the year. Did I achieve the goals I set out to achieve? I said I was going to finish my debt, my credit card debt. I said I was going to pay off my school loan. I said I was going to pay off my mortgage. I was going to get a new car. Have I achieved those goals, right? If you didn't write it down or anything, what is there to reassess? Because you may have lost it in June or maybe in August. So, I tell you, it's a rough world out there. But you know what? You got to know yourself. You got to know yourself. You got to start believing in yourself. You have to stand up and do something for yourself.
Amen.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot stress this enough. The importance of listening to podcasts, the importance of going out and watching, people speak about, finances, health, etc. For me, I found this new love for just listening to people speak, because there's something that I didn't get yesterday that I might have heard that was reiterated today. Was said in a similar way but very different, and it's it took me back yesterday, and I put both of them together whoa, that's what he was trying to say, and that just sparked something in me. It gives me that thrive to go do something better for myself, rather than just sitting on the couch and watching my life just pass me by. Yeah. But I appreciate you coming all the way from Minnesota to come talk to us. Talk about love, man.
The pleasure is all mine. Baltimore is like a second home. So I'm happy to be here.
Hey, well, I appreciate you. On behalf of Reflex and the whole Stuck in the Middle community, we appreciate you for coming out. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching and listening to Stuck in the Middle podcast. Please follow us on Facebook, like us on all social platforms. Email us sitmpodcast237@gmail.com for questions, referrals, comments. We are available 24/7 to answer your questions. Nobody's too small to sit on that chair right there and speak of their experiences, speak of their platform. This platform is open for any and everybody to come share what you're creating, what you if you're a mover and shaker, you got to be sitting on that sit right there, because that's what this platform is created for. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for weekly episodes. Information is key, so you got to have that key. It's like driving your brand new car. You can't drive a car without a key. So to drive your life, you need information, and How about, you listen to people who are actually doing it? Tomorrow, we're going to be sitting with Roderick Tony, and he's a tattoo artist. Now, before any of you go about saying, oh my God, tattoos, there are people out there who like tattoos. There are people out there who hate tattoos. Either way, it's just your preference. You know what I mean? Listen to somebody speak. Just don't judge them off the bat. Don't judge them off the bat. You don't know what got them there. Listen to them. That's a story they have. And once you hear that story, you could decide to either like or not like. Just don't judge off the bat. But anyways, you've been listening to Stuck in the Middle, and we out.